I think there's effectively three main reasons that I hear about from talking to parents as to why the internet is such a scary place for their children, or they think it's a scary place for their children, why there's so many issues, and why the media is just flooded with stories of suicide and predators and criminal activity, cyberbullying, all those sorts of things. I think the three key reasons that we are scared of the internet or the online world is because firstly, we don't understand this environment of the cyber playground. Now, I'll talk about what the cyber playground is in a moment. Because we don't understand the environment of the cyber playground, we don't feel comfortable with the issues. We don't really understand the issues of sexting or cyberbullying or pedophiles. We don't feel confident to know how to deal with those issues. Because we don't understand the environment and we don't understand the issues necessarily, then we don't have the confidence to place boundaries and guidelines and rules on our kids' internet use in that cyber playground. Now, I want you guys to know you already know probably 70% of what you need to know to parent effectively in the cyber playground. It's just understanding that environment and applying what you already know from the offline world and applying it to the cyber playground. So what is the cyber playground? Okay, well, I look at them in terms of the cyber playground being the online world in which your children interact, and the traditional playground being the offline world in which we interact. Forget about the internet for a moment. Let's look at the traditional playground. The traditional playground is the world before the internet, or the world without the internet. It's where we engage with people, we visit family, we take photos, we go on holidays, we go to school, we go to work, we watch movies, we listen to music, we play sport, we can go shopping. In the traditional environment, traditional playground, you've got people, obviously, all sorts of people. You've got criminals, you've got good people, you've got bullies, you've got pedophiles. You've got issues like suicide, like sex, drugs and alcohol. You've got bullying, I think I've already said that one. You've got all sorts of issues, all sorts of good things. The thing is, in the traditional playground, we've had generations of information handed down to us on how to deal with issues. So let's say, for example, think about it for a moment now. If your child was smoking, and you're dead against smoking. Let's just say your 10-year-old was caught smoking a packet of cigarettes behind the toilet block at school. Think about for a moment, what would you do? Based on your childhood and based on your experiences of your parents and probably your grandparents, perhaps they'd get a good talking to, perhaps they'd get grounded, perhaps they would get something taken off them for 2 weeks, they'd get in big trouble, or you'd teach them a lesson. You've got sort of a toolbox on how to deal with those sorts of things. You might not have any idea, but you might go to a friend or a family member and say, look, I caught my boy smoking behind the toilet blocks at school, what do I do? And they'll have some tools on how to deal with that. Now, when we're looking at the cyber playground is the online world in which we interact. So in the online world, we can take photos, we can engage with other people, we can talk to family members, we can video chat with people that aren't even in the same state as us. We can watch movies, we can listen to music, we can go shopping, we can go to an auction with eBay. In that same environment, you've got criminal activity, you've got suicide, you've got bullying, you've got sexting, you've got pornography. You've got the same people in the cyber playground as you've got in the traditional playground. The fundamentals of the two are the same. It's the environment that's different. Are you with me so far? So it's the environment of the cyber playground that confuses us. But if we take what we already know and bend it and tweak it and twist it a little bit and shape it to fit this new environment, we can often use the knowledge that we've already got up here and apply it to that different environment. Imagine that you've gone to a country that you don't speak their language. So let's say I went to Paris once and my mother came with me, and neither of us could speak French. But through Hand language and communicating and realizing, you know what, they're just people. The fundamentals of how we behave are the same, but the environment is different. Does that make sense? So we thought, okay, how do we take what we already know about communicating, because we really need to find some toilets, or we really need to find the railway station, or we really need to find a restaurant. How do we apply what we already know about human communication and tweak it and bend it and twist it to fit this new environment? So we ended up using hand languages and pointing to a map and things like that. So when you're in the cyber playground with your child, you already know most of what you need to know to parent in that environment. Just think outside the box and apply the same boundaries and guidelines and restrictions that you normally would in the traditional playground to the cyber playground. Let's use a little bit of an example. If your girl goes out with her girlfriends after school and you say, you must be home by 7 p.m. and she must be back in the house, then apply that same sort of thinking to the internet. Would you allow her to keep talking to her friends after 7 o'clock at night? This is just an example. If you have a boy who does football practice or soccer practice after school twice a week and then he plays a match on a Saturday, but when he goes and plays with his friends after school, kicking the football or soccer ball around, you say you must be back before dark by 8 p.m. Then apply that same thinking and those same rules that you've applied to him in the traditional playground to the cyber playground. Would you let him sit up playing Call of Duty till 2 o'clock in the morning in his bedroom? Apply that same thinking. You already know most of what you need to know. The fundamentals are the same, it's just the environment that's different. Stretch your thinking and expand what you already know to fit that new environment.